So tonight we're going to do a video. I don't know how long this is going to be, but it may be one of the fewer shorter ones. I don't know. It just depends on how long I want to talk. It's been a busy day. It's been a busy week because of Christmas coming up and all that good stuff. Everybody's running around like they're chicken with a head cut off right now. So tonight we're going to talk about animals and off-grid. Okay, number one, this part of Oklahoma has a lot of native animals that are fairly dangerous, you might say. Out of everything that's out here, I think the most thing that I would fear personally are wild pigs, wild hogs. They'll flat out kill you. You'll see a lot of videos online with people trying to pet wild animals like sea lions and bison and tigers and all kinds of stuff. Don't approach wild animals. They'll kill you. They'll mess you up. Sometimes even dogs, people dump dogs out in these areas and they'll pack up and they'll go feral. Here in Oklahoma, there's been cases of people being killed by feral dogs, wild dogs, if you want to say it. Pigs are kind of the same way. Pigs may escape from some farm somewhere, and they, from my understanding, I've never owned a pig, but they tend to go feral fairly fast after they've escaped from, being domesticated. We have cougars, we have bobcats, we have raccoons, we have possums, we have coyotes, we have wolves, and wild pigs. Cougars, you're just going to see a glimpse of those. You're not going to see, you're going to get that weird feeling, the hair standing up on your back of your neck like you're being watched. It's cougar. We've had cougar attacks here in Oklahoma. Game rangers will argue and they'll say that there's no such thing as cougars in Oklahoma. I have seen cougars in Oklahoma. Sometimes I wonder if maybe they say that just to keep people from being fearful of stuff like that. I don't know. Not a game ranger. Don't want to be. So, wild animals, don't approach stuff, don't feed them, don't invite them in. We even have bears in Oklahoma. This part of Oklahoma, they have a hunting season on bears even. This time of the year, deer season is booming. Around Thanksgiving, rifle season's happening. Archery season is fairly long here in Oklahoma. I can't remember. I haven't hunted in years. Since we opened our Feret Rescue, I don't. If it wasn't for not liking vegetables, I'd go vegan if I could. I'm not one of those crazy tree huggers, but been accused of one, but not really one. So, wild animals are an issue. They 9 times out of 10. We see more possums and raccoons than anything. Squirrels are everywhere out here. It sounds like a herd of buffalo coming through the woods and it's one stinking squirrel. Domestic animals. That's the main thing that I want to hit on tonight. So, we had a neighbor accuse us of running a puppy mill because we have 2 Pomeranians, used to have 3, and I'll explain that here in a minute, and 1 Papillon. So technically, we have 4 dogs now. So, because of the issues going on out here, one of our Pomeranians was poisoned. She died. This has been a few months back. We know for a fact what happened, we just can't prove it. So you have people out in these areas that will poison your animals. We have high dollar dogs, and we have a couple of litters of puppies a year because the type of Pomeranians we raise are very unique. So we had 2 females and 1 male. Now we only have 1 female and 1 male because one was poisoned and she died. So we also have a Papillon, which we just have 1 Papillon. She's a female. She runs the whole show out here. The dog's smarter than most people that I know. She's probably smarter than most people on the face of the earth. The dog is super intelligent. She stays about 3 steps ahead of you all the time. She's got things figured out. She trains you, you don't train her. She was poisoned as well. We got her to the doctor in time. We figured out what it was, and we were able to save her. Thank God for the local vet here. He's great. He takes care of our ferrets. He takes care of the dogs. Any animals out here that we have. Tim Fordson, he is a great guy. I'm going to give him a shout out because he takes care of huge animals to little bitty animals, and he is great. Now, he's an OSU graduate, so don't hold that against him. I think he's an OSU graduate, pretty sure of it. So, health issues with these animals. If you got people out here that don't like you, they're going to poison your animals. So be prepared to recognize when your animal has been poisoned really quick. Treatments for these type of things. It just depends on what they've been poisoned with. Sometimes people will poison them with natural things, and it's hard to detect this stuff. You can say, you know that they've been poisoned, but you can't prove it. So, treatments for stuff out here, we use a lot of ivermectin on stuff. You've got to keep your animals wormed and their shots up, because the wild animals will cause issues for your domestic animals, such as roundworms. That's a huge problem. We've got to worm our animals constantly. All kinds of things. Again, we use dog wormer, we use ivermectin, we use all kinds of things out here for our animals. Another issue that we've ran into with the problems that are going on out here, and again, like I said in the other videos, be very wise when you pick a spot, because we have a Feret Rescue. We're probably, as far as I know, we're the only Feret Rescue in Oklahoma. So the issues that we've had out here have directly attacked this. My wife has rehomed probably over 300 ferrets since we've been out here alone. That's not before we moved down here from our other place. These ferrets live better than most people. They have their own cabin. Matter of fact, I'm going to make a video on this in the near future. We'll go into the ferret cabin, and every one of them, I know every one of their names. We've got 13 right now. During COVID, Sherry had over 40 because people kept relinquishing them because they couldn't take care of them, couldn't feed them. So she had 40 at one time. She rehomed all these. She calls them her babies. They have central heat and air. Like I said, they have their own apartment. It's like 13 teenagers with their own apartment. Again, they live better than most people. They have 3 kinds of food. They get soupy. They get kibble. They get baby food as a treat. And on top of everything else, sometimes they get raw meat, which that's kind of important to their diet. They are technically still not exactly a domesticated animal, but they are, but they're not. So, Peta, I don't agree with Peta's politics, okay? But my wife is directly connected to these guys because of situations like this. Because if you're going to run a rescue, you need to have some sort of backing from some major entity that takes care of animals. They're very strong animal advocates. Again, I don't agree with their politics, but I do agree with some of their things that they do for being advocates for animals. I agree with a lot of things that they do, because they even though they don't believe in testing on animals, which I agree with that. Since we become Feret Rescue people, I don't believe in that stuff. There's other ways to test drugs and products and all kinds of things. The technology that we have, there's no reason to be testing on animals. There's none. But Peta is, my wife supports them very strongly. She stays in contact with these guys all the time. A matter of fact, I'm hoping that they strongly support her in the issues that we're having out here, because there's sometimes it feels like we don't have anybody standing behind us. But these guys, they will stand behind you 100%. And this right here is one of the biggest reasons why we moved out here. We are completely off grid. Our solar system runs their cabin as well. They live in a nice balmy 68 degrees all year round. I mean, like I said, they live better than most animals. Again, so another thing that when you're off grid is it's a good idea to have chickens. We had chickens last year, but since we were looking at selling our property here, we sold the chickens off because we didn't want to have to mess with moving that side of stuff too. But all you need for a couple of people is 3 or 4 chickens, a little chicken coop. You don't need 10 or 12 chickens running around. They're great for keeping the bugs down and keeping snakes away and stuff like that. But they turn into a nuisance after a while. So they'll climb on your vehicles. Some of our neighbors have guineas. That's a good example. We've caught them on our vehicles, tearing up all kinds of stuff up here. You know, if you don't keep them in a pen, you run the risk of your animals getting out and causing problems that will get you sued. That's the thing. Goats, sheep, chickens, turkeys, anything that will climb on top of a vehicle, you run the risk of not really getting in trouble, but you know, your stuff may jump on your neighbor's car, tear up a $5,000 paint job, and the next thing you're in there paying for their paint job, paying for their property that they've torn up. Some people are utterly stupid when it comes to this thing because they're like, I don't care. Well, you should, because like all of our dogs, everything that we have out here is pinned up. It can't run off. It can't take off. Out here too, wild animals will try to get your domestic animals, such as dogs, hawks, owls, things of that sort. If you've got a small dog or a cat, coyotes, wolves, owls, hawks, any bird of prey, well, if they're big enough, they'll try to get your dog. They'll try to get your chickens as well. It's kind of funny to see chickens out running around and then all of a sudden a hawk flies over, and how they act it's kind of comical, but last thing you want is one of your chickens get caught up by a bird. So being able to deworm and treat your animals is very important out here. Chickens even require things, for like mites and things of that sort. Me and my wife, we take ivermectin every now and then because it's just such it's a good drug. There's all kinds of studies on this medication. It's been around for a long time, and they've used it in human studies for quite a while. They were using it in third world countries for deworming, and it's blocks viral replication in some animals like horses, and I'm not for sure about cows. I'd have to read up on it. I mean, I'm not a physician, so who knows, but it's it's fairly safe. But overall, just understanding how to take care of your animals, wintertime versus summertime, you gotta make sure they're fed and watered. If they're outside, dogs thrive outside during the wintertime, huskies especially. Huskies love snow, they love cold weather, but still they need to be fed very well and they need to be watered very well, and that's very important for your outside animals. Out here, because we're running off the solar system, it's hard to run stuff that's going to keep water warm and things like that. You can't just go drop a 1,000-watt heater in, a bucket of water or whatever to keep. So you've got to stay on top of this stuff. It's very important because animals can die of dehydration during the wintertime quicker than they can during the summertime. But as far as I can think of, that's all I'm going to talk about tonight. We're going to move into the medical side of stuff for humans in the near future, and which is very important too. Again, we could do videos on top of videos and talk about stuff for weeks on this stuff, but if you're ready to do this, I don't suggest doing this 100%. This has been the hardest thing I've ever done, but unless you're prepared for all of this, I don't suggest doing it. I think people should come out and stay a week with somebody that has done this to just experience it, because if I would have done that, I would have never done this off-grid stuff, especially in southeastern Oklahoma. Maybe northwestern part of the United States, I don't know, but not here. I mean, it's just, there's too many issues here. All right, see you next video.